When your children don't respect you, do this instead. 6 powerful ways to regain respect. There comes a time in life when the roles between parents and children begin to shift. You've spent decades raising them, guiding them, sacrificing for them. But then one day something changes. Maybe they start ignoring your advice. Maybe they dismiss your opinions. Maybe they talk down to you, or worse, they make you feel like a burden. And let's be honest, that hurts. If your children have started treating you with less respect than you deserve, it's natural to feel frustrated, even angry. You might want to remind them of everything you've done for them, all the years you spent putting their needs before your own. But here's the hard truth. Demanding respect doesn't work. In fact, it often makes things worse. Instead, there's a much more effective way to regain their respect, without fighting, without arguments, and without resentment. Today, I want to share 6 powerful shifts that can completely transform the way your children see you. Some of these might surprise you, but if you stick with me, you'll discover how to reclaim your place as a respected, valued figure in their lives. 1. Stop chasing their approval. One of the biggest mistakes parents make, especially as they grow older, is trying too hard to please their children. Maybe you've noticed yourself doing this. You go out of your way to accommodate them. You say yes when you really want to say no. You put their needs ahead of your own, hoping that if you just do enough, they'll appreciate you more. But here's the truth. The more you chase their approval, the less they respect you. Respect isn't earned through self-sacrifice. It's earned through self-respect. I once knew a woman named Margaret. In her younger years, she was a strong, independent lady. But as she got older, she started letting her children make all the decisions. She rearranged her schedule around their needs, kept her opinions to herself, and even ignored the way they spoke down to her. "I just want to keep the family together," she told me once. But what happened? Her children stopped valuing her. They saw her as someone who would always adjust, always agree, always stay silent. She thought she was keeping the peace, but what she was really doing was losing her voice. If your children don't respect you, the first step isn't to demand it. It's to stop acting like you need it. Set boundaries. Say no when you need to. Speak your mind, even if they don't like what you have to say. Because the moment you start respecting yourself, they'll start seeing you differently. And in time, that respect will come back to you. 2. Don't argue, lead by example. When your children dismiss your opinions, talk over you, or treat you with disrespect, your first instinct might be to argue, to remind them of everything you've done, to demand that they listen. But let me tell you something that will save you years of frustration. Arguing never works. Think about it. When was the last time you convinced someone to respect you by fighting for it? Respect isn't won through words. It's earned through presence, through the way you carry yourself, through the way you respond when others test your patience. I knew a man named Frank, a retired teacher who had spent his life leading a classroom with confidence. But at home, his grown children had started treating him like an afterthought. They ignored his advice, dismissed his concerns, and sometimes even laughed when he tried to correct them. At first, he argued back, trying to prove he still deserved their respect. But the more he fought, the worse things got. Then one day, Frank made a change. Instead of arguing, he started listening, really listening. He stopped chasing respect with words and instead carried himself like a man who already had it. He spoke calmly, with wisdom, without the need to win. And slowly, his children started noticing. They saw a man who wasn't desperate for their approval, who didn't need to prove himself, who simply was a figure of strength. If your children don't respect you, don't fight them for it. Show them what respect looks like by the way you treat yourself. Keep your dignity. Speak with confidence. And most importantly, never lower yourself to their level. When you hold your ground with grace, they will feel it. And in time, they'll follow your lead. 3. Withdraw your emotional dependence. One of the hardest lessons to learn as you grow older is that you can't depend on your children for emotional fulfillment. You may love them deeply, and you may want them to love and respect you in return. But the moment they sense that you need them to feel valued, the power in the relationship shifts. Here's the reality. People, even your own children, respect those who are emotionally independent. When you rely on them for validation, affection, or attention, it puts pressure on them. And instead of feeling grateful, they start feeling burdened. They might pull away. They might start treating you with impatience or even irritation. And the more you chase their love, the less freely they give it. I once knew a woman named Helen. She had given everything to her children. But as they got older and busier, she found herself waiting by the phone, hoping they would call. When they didn't, she called them instead too often. She reminded them how much she missed them, how she wished they would visit more. But instead of bringing them closer, it pushed them away. Then one day, Helen did something different. She stopped waiting. She stopped calling first. Instead, she started focusing on herself, picking up new hobbies, going out with friends, taking care of her own happiness. And something surprising happened. Her children started calling more. They started respecting her time, seeing her as someone with a full life of her own. The lesson is simple. The less you depend on your children to make you feel needed, the more they will start valuing your presence. When you show them that you can stand strong on your own, they will start respecting you not out of obligation, but because they genuinely admire the life you've built for yourself. Final thoughts. Respect isn't something you can demand from your children. It's something you inspire through the way you carry yourself, the way you set boundaries, and the way you live your life. If they've started treating you with less care, less consideration, or less respect, don't waste your energy getting angry. Instead, shift your approach. Stop chasing their approval, because the less you need it, the more they'll give it. Lead by example, because your dignity speaks louder than your words. Withdraw your emotional dependence, because self-sufficiency commands respect. If you do these things, something incredible will happen. Your children will start seeing you in a different light, not as someone waiting for their attention, but as someone who commands respect simply by being who they are. And in time, that respect will come back to you, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. Stop chasing their approval. The key to regaining respect from your children. As parents, especially as we grow older, it's natural to want love and appreciation from our children. After all, we've spent decades raising them, making sacrifices, and putting their needs before our own. But what happens when they start treating us with less respect? What do we do when we feel ignored, dismissed, or even taken for granted? Many parents fall into the trap of trying to earn their children's approval. They accommodate their every request, avoid disagreements to keep the peace, and say yes, even when they really want to say no. This behavior comes from a place of love, but unfortunately, it often backfires. Instead of gaining respect, parents who constantly chase approval often find that they are respected less. Why chasing approval leads to disrespect? The harsh truth is that respect isn't earned through endless self-sacrifice. It's earned through self-respect. When parents always bend over backward to please their children, they send an unintended message. My needs don't matter as much as yours. Over time, this dynamic can lead children to take their parents for granted. Consider this. When you consistently prioritize someone else's happiness over your own, they begin to expect it. It becomes the norm rather than something to be appreciated. Your kindness, patience, and willingness to accommodate them are no longer seen as acts of love, but as obligations. And once respect is lost, it's difficult to regain. Take Margaret, for example. A strong and independent woman in her younger years, Margaret had always made decisions with confidence. But as she aged, she found herself yielding more and more to her children's demands. She rearranged her schedule around their needs, rarely voiced her opinions, and avoided conflict at all costs. She believed that by doing so, she was keeping the family together. But what actually happened? Her children stopped listening to her. They made decisions without considering her, spoke down to her, and treated her as though her thoughts and feelings were secondary. In her attempt to maintain harmony, Margaret had lost her voice. The key takeaway? If you want to regain your children's respect, you must first respect yourself. That means setting boundaries, speaking your mind, and valuing your own needs just as much as theirs. How to stop seeking their approval and reclaim your power. If you recognize yourself in this pattern, don't worry. It's never too late to shift the dynamic. Here are some concrete steps to take. 1. Set clear boundaries. Respect begins with boundaries. If your children dismiss your opinions, speak to you disrespectfully, or fail to appreciate your efforts, it's time to establish limits. This doesn't mean creating conflict. It simply means making it clear that you expect to be treated with dignity. For example, if your child interrupts you or dismisses your thoughts, calmly say, "I will continue this conversation when you are ready to listen." If they expect you to always be available at their convenience, let them know, "I have my own commitments, and I can't always drop everything. Let's find a time that works for both of us." When you enforce boundaries, you send a message that your time, feelings, and presence matter, and that's when respect starts to return. 2. Practice saying no without guilt. Many parents struggle to say no to their children, especially when they've spent years putting them first. But saying no isn't an act of rejection. It's an act of self-respect. When you say yes to something you don't want, you are ultimately saying no to yourself. If your child asks for something unreasonable, whether it's financial support, constant babysitting, or changing your plans at the last minute, don't feel obligated to comply just to keep the peace. Instead, respond with honesty. "I love you, but I can't do that right now." A firm but loving no establishes your independence and reinforces that your time and energy are valuable. 3. Speak your mind even if they don't like it. Many parents keep their thoughts to themselves out of fear that disagreeing with their children will create distance. But the reality is that respectful disagreements are healthy. They show that you are an individual with your own perspectives, values, and experiences. If you constantly stay silent or agree just to avoid conflict, you reinforce the idea that your voice doesn't matter. Instead, express your opinions calmly and confidently. Your children may not always agree, but over time, they will learn to respect the fact that you have your own beliefs and that you're not afraid to stand by them. 4. Focus on your own life and interests. One of the most powerful things you can do to gain your children's respect is to have a full, meaningful life outside of them. When parents revolve their entire existence around their children, it creates an unhealthy dynamic. It can make children feel pressured, and paradoxically, it can make them respect you less because they see you as dependent on them for emotional fulfillment. Instead, invest in yourself. Pursue hobbies, spend time with friends, travel, volunteer. Do things that bring you joy and a sense of purpose. When your children see that you have a fulfilling life, they will not only respect you more, but they will also want to be part of your life. Not out of obligation, but out of genuine admiration. 5. Stop overgiving. Many parents believe that the more they give, the more their children will appreciate them. Unfortunately, the opposite is often true. When generosity is constant and unconditional, it can be taken for granted. If you find yourself constantly giving, whether it's financial help, time, or emotional support, take a step back. Give when you want to, not because you have to. And if your kindness isn't acknowledged or respected, consider pausing for a while. Sometimes, It takes absence for others to realize what they have been taking for granted. Final thoughts. Respect starts with you. Regaining respect from your children doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with one critical shift: valuing yourself. When you stop seeking their approval, when you set boundaries, and when you live a life that is fulfilling in its own right, your children will begin to see you differently. They will recognize your strength, your independence, and your worth, not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. So today, take the first step. Stand firm in your self-respect. Speak your truth. Set boundaries with love. And most importantly, live a life that you are proud of, because when you do, respect will follow. Don't argue, lead by example. One of the biggest mistakes parents make when trying to earn their children's respect is engaging in arguments or trying to force them to change their opinions. The truth is, arguing does not make your child respect you more. On the contrary, it only creates tension and further erodes their respect for you. The best way to teach your child about respect is not through words but through actions. Why arguing doesn't work. 1. Arguments create distance. When you try to prove that you're right and your child is wrong, you unintentionally put yourself in opposition to them. This makes them feel attacked and more likely to resist. Instead of considering your point of view, they will focus on defending their stance, turning the argument into a never-ending cycle. 2. Words alone won't change minds without respect. If your child has lost respect for you, your advice and arguments will carry little weight. They may listen, but they won't truly absorb what you're saying. Instead of arguing, focus on rebuilding your image in their eyes through concrete actions. 3. Arguments undermine your authority. When parents engage in emotional debates with their children, it can diminish their standing as a reliable authority figure. Children will not see you as a trustworthy guide if you frequently lose your temper and engage in unnecessary disputes. Leading by example, the path to respect. 1. Stay calm in every situation. When your child reacts negatively or disrespectfully, instead of reacting immediately, pause, take a deep breath, and think before responding. When you remain calm, you control the conversation and avoid emotional reactions that could harm your relationship. Example. If your child raises their voice, instead of responding in a louder tone, say calmly, "I'm ready to listen when you're calm." 2. Demonstrate confidence and dignity in your actions. If you want your child to respect you, start by respecting yourself. Don't let your child see you as fragile or overly dependent on their approval. Maintain personal principles and do not change them just to please your child. 3. Master your emotions. Nothing loses respect faster than someone who is easily provoked. If your child deliberately tries to push your buttons, don't let your emotions dictate your actions. Remember, you are the adult and should demonstrate greater maturity. 4. Set clear boundaries. Don't allow your child to treat you disrespectfully without consequences. If they speak to you in an inappropriate manner, gently but firmly set limits. Example. I won't continue this conversation if you don't speak respectfully. 5. Actions speak louder than words. If you want your child to be grateful, demonstrate gratitude in your daily life. If you want your child to be responsible, live responsibly. If you want your child to listen to you, show them how to listen when they speak. 6. Focus on core values. Instead of forcing your child to agree with you, help them understand the reasoning behind the values you uphold. Instead of saying, "You must respect me because I am your parent," explain that respect is an essential value that helps build strong family and social relationships. Arguing is never the way to earn your child's respect. Instead, your actions, your calm demeanor, and your confidence will determine how your child perceives you. When you lead by example, your child will gradually change the way they react and treat you with genuine respect. Respect cannot be demanded, it must be built through consistent and meaningful actions. Withdraw from emotional dependence. One of the most challenging aspects of parenting is managing your emotions while raising a child. Many parents, often without realizing it, become emotionally dependent on their children. They seek validation, approval, and even their own sense of self-worth from how their child perceives and treats them. However, emotional dependence on your child not only weakens your authority but also places an unnecessary burden on the child. To foster a healthy, respectful relationship, it is essential to detach from emotional dependence and establish emotional independence. Understanding emotional dependence. Emotional dependence occurs when a parent's emotional state is heavily influenced by their child's behavior, opinions, or treatment of them. Signs of emotional dependence include 1. Seeking validation from your child. Feeling good only when your child is affectionate, listens to you, or agrees with you. Becoming distressed or feeling unworthy when your child expresses disagreement or disapproval. 2. Taking rebellion or disrespect personally. Feeling personally attacked when your child is rude or dismissive. Reacting emotionally, rather than addressing the behavior calmly and rationally. 3. Being overly invested in your child's happiness. Feeling responsible for ensuring your child is always happy and satisfied. Taking on their emotions as your own, to the point where their bad mood ruins your entire day. 4. Overreacting to their opinions. Feeling heartbroken if your child criticizes you or expresses preferences that don't align with yours. Feeling the need to persuade them to think or feel differently for your own emotional comfort. Why emotional dependence is harmful. 1. It shifts power to the child. If your happiness and emotional well-being depend on your child's behavior, they gain control over you. Children, even if unintentionally, may manipulate situations if they realize they hold power over your emotions. 2. It weakens your authority. A parent who needs approval is less likely to set firm boundaries. Your child may lose respect for you if they sense you are emotionally fragile and overly dependent on their validation. 3. It creates an unfair burden on the child. Children should not be responsible for managing their parents' emotions. It can create guilt and pressure, making them feel like they have to suppress their own emotions to protect yours. Steps to emotional independence. 1. Recognize that you are separate individuals. Your child is their own person with their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Likewise, you are an independent individual with your own identity outside of being a parent. Accept that your child does not need to agree with you for you to feel secure in your beliefs. Your value as a parent is not defined by your child's opinion of you. 2. Detach your self-worth from your child's behavior. If your child is rude or defiant, it does not mean you have failed as a parent. Your child's emotions are theirs to manage, just as your emotions are yours. Remind yourself, my child's bad mood does not determine my worth or happiness. 3. Establish and maintain emotional boundaries. When your child expresses frustration or anger, acknowledge their feelings without making it about you. Set limits on acceptable behavior without taking their emotional outbursts personally. Example: if your child yells, instead of responding with hurt feelings, say, I understand you're upset, but I will not continue this conversation until we can speak respectfully. 4. Cultivate inner confidence. Instead of relying on your child's approval, build your own sense of self-worth through personal growth, hobbies, and relationships outside of parenting. Have interests, goals, and friendships that remind you that you are more than just a parent. 5. Respond with strength, not emotion. If your child challenges your authority, respond with calm confidence, not emotional distress. Example: If your child says, "I hate you," instead of reacting emotionally, respond with, "I'm sorry you feel that way right now, but I still love you and will always be here for you." 6. Allow your child to experience natural consequences. Avoid overprotecting or micromanaging your child's emotions and experiences. Let them make mistakes and learn from them instead of trying to control their emotions to keep yourself comfortable. 7. Seek support outside of parenting. Talk to friends, a therapist, or support groups to process your emotions in a healthy way. Do not rely on your child as your primary emotional outlet. The benefits of emotional independence. 1. You gain true authority. When your emotions are not easily shaken by your child's reactions, they will see you as strong and reliable. Your child will respect you more when they sense that your confidence does not depend on their validation. 2. You create a healthier relationship. Your child will feel free to express themselves without feeling responsible for managing your emotions. You will be able to connect with them on a deeper, more authentic level. 3. You set a powerful example. Your child will learn to manage their own emotions by watching how you handle yours. They will develop independence, resilience, and respect for emotional boundaries. Parenting is not about seeking approval or validation from your child. It's about guiding them with strength, love, and emotional stability. By withdrawing from emotional dependence and embracing emotional independence, you not only regain your authority but also create a healthier, more respectful relationship with your child. The strongest parents are those who lead with calm confidence, not those who seek validation from their children. When you master your emotions, you teach your child to do the same, setting them up for a lifetime of emotional resilience and maturity. Setting boundaries and enforcing them with confidence. One of the most important aspects of parenting is establishing clear boundaries and ensuring they are respected. Children, by nature, will test limits. It is part of their development as they explore their autonomy and understand how the world works. However, if you allow your child to treat you disrespectfully or disregard rules without consequences, that behavior will persist. Setting firm boundaries and consistently enforcing them is crucial to maintaining a respectful and structured environment. Why boundaries matter. Boundaries are essential for a child's development. They provide structure, create a sense of security, and teach important life lessons about respect, responsibility, and self-discipline. Without them, children may struggle to understand the difference between acceptable and unacceptable behavior. Here's why setting and enforcing boundaries is so important. 1. They teach respect. When a child understands there are rules in place, they learn to respect those rules and the authority behind them. Parents who do not set boundaries often struggle with children who develop a lack of respect for authority figures in general. 2. They provide security and predictability. Children thrive on structure. Knowing what is expected of them reduces anxiety and confusion. Clear boundaries create an environment where children feel safe and understand the consequences of their actions. 3. They help develop self-control. Learning to follow rules and respect limits teaches children discipline and self-regulation. Children who grow up with clear boundaries are more likely to develop strong decision-making skills and emotional resilience. The consequences of inconsistent boundaries. When parents fail to set or enforce boundaries, children may develop a range of behavioral and emotional issues. Some common consequences include a lack of respect for authority. When rules are not consistently enforced, children may grow up thinking they can do as they please without repercussions. Emotional insecurity. Children without structure may feel anxious or overwhelmed because they do not know what is expected of them. Poor social skills. If children are not taught respect and boundaries at home, they may struggle to interact appropriately with peers and adults. The entitlement mentality. When children are not held accountable for their actions, they may grow up expecting special treatment and resisting rules in other areas of life. How to set and enforce boundaries effectively. The key to successful boundary setting is consistency, clarity, and calmness. Here are practical steps to establish and uphold rules in a way that fosters respect and discipline. 1. Define clear and reasonable boundaries. Boundaries should be simple, clear, and age-appropriate. Avoid vague rules like, be good, and instead opt for specific expectations such as, speak respectfully, or finish homework before screen time. Example, instead of saying, don't be rude, say, in our family, we speak to each other with kindness. If you are upset, use words to express your feelings instead of yelling or name-calling. Make sure your child understands the rules. Ask them to repeat them back to confirm clarity. 2. Communicate expectations with confidence. Children take cues from their parents' tone and demeanor. If you present a rule uncertainly or inconsistently, they will challenge it. Use a calm but firm voice when stating boundaries. Avoid long explanations or negotiations. Keep it direct. We do not hit in this house. If you hit, you will have a timeout. 3. Be consistent and follow through. Inconsistency is one of the biggest reasons children ignore boundaries. If you set a rule but do not enforce it, your child will quickly learn that they can push limits without consequences. Example, if you say bedtime is at 8:30 p.m. but regularly allow them to stay up past that time without consequences, they will not take the rule seriously. Follow through with the consequence every time the rule is broken. If you say, if you throw your toys, I will take them away for the rest of the day, then you must actually take them away. 4. Use natural and logical consequences. Instead of arbitrary punishments, use consequences that directly relate to the behavior. The natural consequences. If a child refuses to wear a coat, they will feel cold outside. A logical consequences. If a child refuses to clean up their toys, those toys are put away for a day. Logical consequences teach children responsibility and accountability while helping them understand cause and effect. 5. Stay calm and avoid power struggles. Children will often push back against rules, but how you respond determines the outcome. If you react emotionally, they may see it as a game or a way to gain control. Remain neutral. Do not yell or argue. State the rule and consequence calmly. Example, if your child refuses to do homework, instead of arguing, say, the rule is that homework must be finished before playtime. If you choose not to do it, you will lose screen time tonight. Do not negotiate. Once a consequence is set, do not back down or change your mind. 6. Praise positive behavior. Reinforcing good behavior is just as important as addressing bad behavior. Acknowledge when your child follows the rules and respects boundaries. Example, I really appreciate that you cleaned up your toys without being asked. That shows responsibility. A positive reinforcement builds self-esteem and encourages continued good behavior. Overcoming common challenges. What if my child keeps testing boundaries? Children will always test limits. It is their way of understanding rules. The key is to remain patient and consistent. If they repeatedly push back, calmly remind them of the rule and consequence. Stay firm. Do not give in even if they argue or try to negotiate. What if I feel guilty enforcing boundaries? Many parents struggle with guilt when disciplining their children. However, setting boundaries is not about being mean, it is about teaching important life skills. Remind yourself that structure and discipline help your child feel secure. Your job is not to be their best friend, but to guide them toward becoming responsible adults. What if my partner or family members undermine the rules? Consistency across caregivers is essential. If one parent enforces rules while another allows rule-breaking, children receive mixed signals. Have a discussion with your partner or family members about the importance of consistency. Present a united front when enforcing rules. The long-term benefits of setting boundaries. When children grow up with clear, enforced boundaries, they develop a self-discipline. They understand limits and respect rules. Respect for authority. They learn to listen and cooperate. Emotional resilience. They learn to manage frustration when things do not go their way. Stronger relationships. They understand mutual respect and consideration for others. Setting and enforcing boundaries is one of the most effective ways to raise respectful, responsible, and emotionally stable children. The key is to be clear, consistent, and confident. Children will test limits, but by maintaining structure and following through with consequences, you teach them valuable lessons that will benefit them throughout their lives. Discipline is not about control. It is about guidance, teaching, and preparing children for a successful future. Be firm, be fair, and watch your child thrive. Stop giving when there is no appreciation. Generosity is a beautiful thing. As parents, we naturally want to provide for our children and give them the best life possible. However, there is a fine line between nurturing a child and enabling entitlement. When a child begins to take what they receive for granted, the value of giving is lost. To foster gratitude and respect, it is essential to stop giving when appreciation is absent. The problem with giving without appreciation. When children receive things without understanding the effort behind them, they may develop a sense of entitlement. This can manifest in several ways. 1. Lack of gratitude. When children receive gifts, privileges, or acts of kindness regularly without acknowledging them, they stop seeing them as special. Instead of feeling thankful, they begin to expect these things as their right. 2. Decreased motivation. If everything is handed to them without effort, children may not see the need to work hard or earn what they receive. They might struggle to develop independence and resilience in adulthood. 3. Disrespect toward the giver. When parents constantly give without expecting appreciation, children may start treating them as mere providers rather than people with feelings. This can lead to dismissive or even rude behavior. 4. Diminished value of what they receive. The more a child gets without effort, the less they value those things. Whether it's money, time, or acts of kindness, overgiving can make even the most thoughtful gestures seem ordinary. Recognizing when to stop giving. It is crucial to recognize when giving has lost its value and when it is time to pull back. Here are signs that indicate a need for change. Your child does not say thank you or show appreciation. They demand rather than request things politely. They become upset or angry when they do not get what they want. They do not take care of the things they are given. They fail to reciprocate kindness in any way. How to shift the dynamic. Stopping excessive giving does not mean withholding love or support. It means fostering a relationship where giving and receiving are balanced and appreciated. 1. Teach the value of gratitude. Encourage your child to say, "Thank you," regularly. If they forget, remind them. Lead by example, express gratitude for small things in daily life. Ask them what they are thankful for at the end of each day. 2. Set clear expectations. Explain that privileges and gifts are not automatic. They must be earned through good behavior, responsibility, and appreciation. Make it clear that you will not continue giving if appreciation is absent. 3. Implement the give and earn principle. Rather than handing out rewards freely, encourage your child to earn them through effort, chores, or good deeds. Example: if they want a new toy, ask them to help around the house first. 4. Follow through with consequences. If your child is ungrateful, do not immediately give in to their requests. Example: if they demand a treat without a please or thank you, simply do not buy it. 5. Encourage giving. Teach your child the joy of giving by involving them in charitable activities. Have them donate toys or clothes they no longer use. Encourage them to do kind acts for family members. Overcoming parental guilt. Many parents feel guilty about saying no to their child's requests. However, setting boundaries around giving is a crucial lesson in life. To remind yourself that your job is to prepare them for adulthood. Understand that gratitude and respect are learned behaviors. To recognize that a child who never hears no will struggle with disappointment in the real world. The long-term benefits of balanced giving. When children learn to appreciate what they receive, they develop stronger relationships. They value and respect the people who provide for them. Better financial habits. They understand that things must be earned, not simply given. In a grateful mindset, they find joy in life's small blessings rather than always wanting more. Giving is a beautiful act, but it must be met with appreciation to retain its value. By setting boundaries, encouraging gratitude, and ensuring that giving is balanced, parents can raise children who are not only appreciative, but also motivated and respectful. Stop giving when there is no appreciation, because true generosity is not about handing things out endlessly, but about fostering a genuine sense of gratitude and responsibility. Building a life beyond parenthood. Many parents dedicate themselves entirely to their children, believing that complete devotion is the best way to raise them. While love and commitment to family are essential, making your child the sole focus of your life can have unintended consequences. Children who grow up seeing their parents without personal passions, friendships, or independent pursuits may not only take their parents for granted, but also fail to develop a deep respect for them as individuals. Establishing a fulfilling life beyond parenthood is not just beneficial for parents. It sets a powerful example for children. It teaches them about independence, self-worth, and the importance of leading a balanced, enriched life. Here's why and how you should build a life outside of your role as a parent. Why having a life beyond parenthood matters. 1. It encourages mutual respect. When children see that their parents have commitments, hobbies, and relationships beyond them, they are more likely to respect their parents' time and boundaries. They learn that their parents are individuals with needs, goals, and aspirations, not just caregivers whose only purpose is to serve them. If a parent constantly prioritizes their child's every need at the expense of their own well-being, the child may begin to take that sacrifice for granted. This can lead to entitlement, a lack of appreciation, and even a disregard for their parents' personal space and interests. By showing your child that you have a fulfilling life of your own, you help them understand the importance of balance and mutual respect. 2. It teaches independence. When parents dedicate all their energy to their children, they sometimes unintentionally hinder their growth. Over-involvement in a child's life can create dependency, making it difficult for children to develop confidence in their own abilities. By having your own interests, career, and social life, you demonstrate that it's okay to be independent. Children who observe this will be more inclined to develop their own sense of self and take responsibility for their actions without relying excessively on their parents. 3. It prevents parental burnout. Parenting is rewarding, but it can also be exhausting. When parents sacrifice their own well-being for the sake of their children, it often leads to frustration, stress, and emotional exhaustion. Having a fulfilling life outside of parenthood helps maintain emotional balance. Engaging in hobbies, spending time with friends, and pursuing career or personal goals can provide the mental and emotional reset needed to be a more patient and effective parent. 4. It strengthens your identity. Before becoming a parent, you were an individual with unique interests, dreams, and aspirations. While being a parent is a vital part of your identity, it should not completely overshadow everything else that makes you who you are. Holding on to your personal identity helps ensure that when your children grow up and become independent, you don't feel lost or purposeless. Parents who maintain their passions and interests often experience a smoother transition when their children leave home. How to build a life outside of parenthood. 1. Pursue personal passions and hobbies. Reignite old passions or discover new hobbies. Whether it's painting, playing an instrument, gardening, hiking, or learning a new skill, engaging in activities that bring you joy enriches your life and sets a great example for your children. Encourage your children to develop their own hobbies as well. This allows for healthy individuality within the family and fosters a sense of respect for personal time and space. 2. Maintain adult friendships. Strong friendships contribute to overall well-being. Having friends outside of your parenting circle gives you opportunities to socialize, share experiences, and receive emotional support. Make time for social interactions, whether it's meeting a friend for coffee, joining a book club, or attending community events. Children benefit from seeing their parents build and maintain meaningful relationships. 3. Focus on your career or personal growth. Your career is a significant part of your identity and purpose. If you enjoy your work, invest in professional growth, take on new challenges, or even start a business if it aligns with your passions. If you are a stay-at-home parent or no longer in the workforce, consider volunteering, taking courses, or working on personal projects that provide fulfillment. Continuous learning and growth keep you engaged and inspired. 4. Set boundaries with your children. Teaching your children to respect your time is essential. If you have set aside time for reading, exercising, or socializing, let your children know that this time is important and should be respected. For example, if you are engaged in a hobby, establish a rule that you are not to be disturbed unless it's an emergency. This teaches children patience and the understanding that their parents also have personal priorities. 5. Prioritize your relationship with your partner. If you have a spouse or partner, nurturing that relationship is crucial. Many couples become so absorbed in parenting that they neglect their connection with each other. Over time, this can lead to emotional distance and dissatisfaction. Schedule regular date nights, engage in shared activities, and communicate openly. A strong, healthy partnership provides a solid foundation for the entire family and demonstrates to children what a balanced relationship looks like. 6. Travel and explore new experiences. Traveling exposes you to new cultures, perspectives, and experiences that enrich your life. Even if extensive travel isn't an option, day trips, weekend getaways, or exploring new places locally can be incredibly fulfilling. Involving your children in travel experiences can also teach them valuable lessons about adaptability and appreciation for different cultures. However, it's also important to have occasional solo trips or outings with friends to maintain your own sense of adventure and independence. Overcoming guilt. Many parents feel guilty when they prioritize their own happiness. Society often reinforces the idea that good parents should be entirely selfless. However, self-care is not selfish, it is necessary. Taking care of yourself allows you to be a better parent. Children benefit from having a role model who demonstrates a balanced life filled with love, passion, and self-respect. They learn that taking care of themselves is just as important as caring for others. Parenthood is one of the most fulfilling roles in life, but it should not define your entire existence. By building a life outside of your children, you foster respect, teach independence, and maintain your personal happiness. Children raised by parents who prioritize their own well-being grow up understanding the importance of balance and self-worth. They are more likely to respect others' boundaries, develop their own passions, and appreciate their parents as individuals rather than just caregivers. So, Embrace your individuality, pursue your passions, and live a fulfilling life beyond parenthood. Not only will it enrich your own life, but it will also positively shape your children's future. Building a life beyond parenthood is essential for both parents and children. When parents maintain personal interests, relationships, and self-development, they set a powerful example of self-respect and independence. This fosters mutual respect, teaches children self-reliance, prevents parental burnout, and ensures that parents retain their own identity beyond raising children. Practical steps to achieve this include pursuing hobbies, maintaining friendships, focusing on a career, setting boundaries, nurturing relationships with a spouse or partner, and exploring new experiences. Overcoming feelings of guilt is crucial because self-care not only makes parents happier, but also helps them become better role models for their children. Ultimately, a balanced life not only enriches the parents' experience but also shapes a more positive future for their children, creating a healthy and fulfilling family dynamic.